Have you ever woke up in the morning and you still feel exhausted? How about waking up in the middle of the night and not being able to go back to sleep? Well, I've experienced both of those, including laying in bed, staring at the ceiling, and just wondering, when am I going to go to sleep? I actually wish that I had an on-off switch in my brain where I could say, okay, I'm ready to go to sleep, let me just turn it off. And I also wished for a mute button where I could turn off my husband so I wouldn't hear him snoring or breathing or anything, or even I could keep him still so I could just sleep, because I always thought it was him and not me. But just recently, the doctor diagnosed me with something called obstructive sleep apnea. And so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to teach you a little bit about the facts of obstructive sleep apnea. This is what we look like in normal breathing during sleep. When you normally breathe, your airway is completely open, so you get deep sleep and you're restored during your sleep. This is what I look like when I sleep. My airway caves in. Every time this happens, my brain wakes my body up and tells me, hey, you can't breathe. So every time that happens, I come out of deep sleep. That's assuming that I ever actually get there. I'm beginning to think that I don't get there, because I wake up and I'm very cranky. I can't concentrate. My mood swings back and forth, and I'm really kind of difficult to live with. But this whole process can happen every few seconds to every few minutes, and it happens on an hourly basis all through the night when you're trying to sleep. And this is something that is common, mostly in people that are over age 40, is where they see it, middle age, but it can happen in children. And it can happen to elderly people, so it's not just something for over 40. Actually, my daughter, who's 24 years old, she thinks she has it. She has a lot of my same symptoms. And my mom, who is 88, has a lot of the same symptoms. And we are women. You don't see it as much as in women as you do in men. It's predominantly men that you see it in. First, I'm going to go over symptoms. The top 4 symptoms for obstructive sleep apnea would be sleepiness. Remember how I told you, wake up sleepy in the morning? That's me. I wake up sleepy and I continue to be sleepy all day long. You can be sleepy in the morning, sleepy in the afternoon, sleepy in the evening, and if I take a nap, that means I'm not going to sleep at night, so I really try not to do that. The next one is you wake up and your throat is dry, you have a sore throat the next morning. Another symptom is going to be snoring, loud snoring in particular. Now, just because you snore does not mean you have sleep apnea. Actually, you can snore and this is not going to be indicative that you're going to have this, but that is one of the symptoms. Lastly, insomnia or inability to stay asleep all night. Now, those are 4 things that you can look at. Those are the symptoms that you can look at for this. Not all the symptoms, but the top 4. Next, we're going to look at risk factors. Number 1 is going to be obesity. And within women who this does not predominantly affect, obesity is number 1. Number 2 is going to be once you reach menopause age. So those are going to be the top 2 in women. Next is going to be your neck circumference. In men, if you have a 17-inch circumference, that's going to be a high risk factor for you. In women, it's 16.5 inches. Next is going to be the narrowing of your throat. If you've got a bone structure where this is very narrow here, the smaller your airway, the more of a problem you're going to have. If you have allergies, a lot of congestion, if you get a lot of upper respiratory infections, and that would be me, this is going to affect you more than somebody else. If you have a family history of this. For me, like I said, my mother, my daughter, and myself, we all have symptoms. So for us, we're definitely high risk. If you use things like tranquilizers, sedatives, alcohol, it relaxes these muscles here. During the daytime while we're awake, that's not an issue. But when we sleep, that's a big issue. And if you're a smoker, you're 3 times as likely to develop this. Lastly, age. The older we get, all these muscles, once again, they also relax. So that makes it at higher risk. Treatment possibilities. Number one is a continuous pressure airway, a CPAP. This helps you to breathe. It opens your airway. And it helps you all night. There's another one that is called an adjustable airway. Same thing, but it adjusts to your breathing. So every night it will adjust to what you need. The next thing is an oral appliance that you would get through like a dentist. And this is what I've decided to do. And I actually am going to get mine next week. Fits right over your teeth. They mold it directly for you. Opens up your airway. So as of next week, I hope to be sleeping better. Lastly, they can do surgery. There's no medication at all for this. Knowledge is power. So I've given you what I've learned about this. So now you can decide if this applies to you or somebody that you love. I've shown you that this applies to all ages, all genders, that no matter who you are, that it can affect you or somebody that you love. So I hope that with what I've provided you with, that if any of this applies to you, that you will talk to your doctor, get a sleep study, and see if this will work for you. Good luck.